That is a really big number.
Coincidentally, it's also the number of Kirby Manga Mania volumes now available. Fascinating, really.
Excuse me, I don't know what the hell that was. Here we are with another new volume of Kirby Manga Mania. This is brought to us once again by Hirokazu Hikawa. It's become a yearly tradition here on the channel to return to the Manga Mania series every time it releases in the summer. If there's a new volume next year, that'll end up being volume 10, which would be pretty damn exciting. Looking forward to the possibility of that. Yet again, we appear to be in a gap in the Kirby release schedule. We have not gotten a new game since Air Riders last year, and that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to take a break, take things slow, maybe read a book, and this is one thing you could read if you like Kirby. Oh, another thing I've done since my last Kirby manga review was read all of One Piece, the manga, up until now. I'm caught up with that, which is over 1,100 chapters. It was a hell of an undertaking. Check out One Piece, it's pretty cool. You might not have heard of it. Oh, hold on, let me just grab something. I'm such a big freaking fan of this thing that I got this. But isn't this cool? Wow, what a Lego set. One of the, frankly, best Lego sets I own. It's fantastic. That was a nice perspective to come into this new one from, now that I've had a little bit more experience with the medium. Enough of that nonsense. We are here for Kirby, and that's what we're gonna jump into right now. I've got something very exciting to let you know. It's been 5 years of this series, and I've reviewed every single one of them. That's pretty crazy to think about, isn't it? It seems to be still going strong. God willing, Manga Mania will continue for years to come. Let's jump into it with Chapter 1. Kirby keeps losing games to King Dedede, who just wants to go home. Kirby doesn't let that happen though, and keeps playing games, culminating in a game of rock, paper, scissors. King Dedede surmises that because Kirby does not have fingers, he'll only be able to play rock, so he's basically guaranteed to win. However, Kirby stows a plasma wisp in his mouth. It uses its hand outside his body. It's pretty interesting. And he won. He did it. He got a trophy. Chapter 2. King Dedede has built a mighty fine chair. Kirby's a bit jealous, and so wants to make a chair of his own. He goes about this in the most convoluted ways possible, building a house, a Tokyo Tower type structure. He gets tired from his labors and decides to take a break, ordering a bunch of food, a table, and guess what? A chair. And it turns out that chair is pretty comfortable. Aww. Chapter 3. It's time for Planet Popstar's New Year's long-distance relay race. Kirby's having a tough time of it though, running out of juice very early on. He goes on various detours using the sleep ability, going to a shrine to wish for first place, going past a police station, finally making it to King Dedede to hand off the sash for King Dedede's segment of the relay. King Dedede makes it to the finish line, but he then realizes that the sash he's wearing is the police chief for the day sash, which Kirby accidentally grabbed while passing the police station. Oh man, I really hate it when that happens. Chapter 4. Side note here, this is a detective chapter, as you may have surmised. A Kirby detective game could go pretty hard. I think I'd like to see that. There's a big statue of King Dedede, and its head is missing. What has happened? Detective Kirby is on the case. He's not the best detective though, and is accusing people left and right, without any evidence. Finally, it's revealed that Kirby is the true culprit, and he reveals himself as Gentleman Thief Kirby. Who would have thought? Chapter 5. There is an upcoming trivia contest, and Kirby needs to study for it. He does this by putting up a bunch of motivational posters on his walls. He also gets distracted by making himself some ramen. He runs around for quite some time and is horrified to discover that the sun has risen and he's all out of time to study. Question: Kirby ran out of time. What do you think he did next? The answer is Kirby takes a nice, delightful nap and discovers that there are no winners or losers in a world as beautiful as this. Peppo. Chapter 6. The bases are loaded and Kirby is up to bat. He's having trouble hitting the ball until he realizes he can just eat it and become Ball Kirby. He goes flying and lands in the stands, but gets an out. That's too bad. Chapter 7. So this is a pretty neat one. The content of this chapter is based on the original Kirby Air Ride on GameCube, but it was included in this collection to coincide with the release of Kirby Air Riders on Switch 2. Kirby's enjoying air riding around on his Warp Star, but is chastised by Broom Hatter for not having a license. Kirby asks for training to get his air ride license. He faces many trials and obstacles. His final challenge is to beat Broom Hatter in a race. I'm pretty sure this race segment is supposed to be set on the level Checker Knights. Kirby finally does beat Broom Hatter, and as such is awarded his license. Hurrah! He grabs King Dedede and they go on a ride on the Formula Star, but end up crashing. They were over the weight limit. Now Kirby's got to start over. Chapter 8. King Dedede is broke because he keeps wasting all his money on junk. He decides taxation is the solution to his problems. He manages to convince the Dreamland residents by telling them he'll reinvest the tax funds into the community, though of course he does not intend to do that. Kirby is quite gung-ho about this tax scheme and starts taxing Dreamland residents just for existing, basically. Kirby does eventually start taxing King Dedede himself, which is not something he had anticipated. Kirby ends up wasting a lot of this money on an upscale restaurant. With all this money spent, there is nothing left for the residents of Dreamland. Kirby finds a solution though by distributing 1 sheet of toilet paper per person. Very generous. Kirby uses the last of the money to fire King Dedede and give him 10 cents in severance pay. Kirby then decides that from now on all the taxes are to be paid with food. Really a beacon of the community there. We now get our first interlude of the Manga Mania, and here's just a few struggles that the Kirby Manga Mania creator experiences when creating his art. Chapter 9. Ribbon has made it as a TV star, and everyone is really impressed. Kirby, however, is jealous and decides to pursue a career in television as well. He meets up with this fella, Dream TV producer Yuki. Unfortunately for Yuki, Kirby is not really cut out for TV and fails all of the jobs he tries. It's pretty dire. Kirby's become frustrated with Yuki and they get into a fight, which ends up in a news segment. So Kirby's done it. He's become famous. We get our second interlude, Common Manga Artist Crises, Part 2, and it's in a similar vein to Part 1. Chapter 10. Now, like in the start of this chapter, you get a panel with King Dedede playing a GameCube, and he's got a disc with Mario on it. Or, you know what? I think that's actually Luigi's Mansion. That's a nice attention to detail there. But King Dedede has had enough of his stuffy castle and decides to run off. He kind of expects for everyone to go look for him, but they don't, and so enlists the help of Kirby. So then they go to a mountaintop. Still though, no one really cares to go look for him, so Kirby forcefully enlists his friends to form a search party for King Dedede. They look for him a bit and eventually find him, but everyone's pretty annoyed with King Dedede for making them go out of their way to look for him, so, you know, didn't work out for him, I guess. Chapter 11. It's finally time for King Dedede to clean his castle, so he enlists the Dreamlanders to help him out. After a fair bit of cleaning, they've whittled it down to just one more area, that being the castle's basement, which I guess is haunted, and it's got all of the creepy enemies from Kirby's Dream Land 3, which are fun to see. They refuse to leave though. Eventually they do manage to get the basement cleaned, but the scary guys are not that pleased with it, and decide to finally move out. But Kirby wants to move in now, and starts to remodel. Also, the creepy crawlies come back, because they don't have anywhere else to live, and they like the new star setup, I guess. But King Dedede doesn't. He's not that happy. Chapter 12. The enemy Chip has become a best-selling author. As such, Kirby decides he wants to write a book too. And it turns out to be a bestseller. It's a retelling of Kirby's misadventures with King Dedede. Chip's editor, Roly Poly, then leaves Chip to become Kirby's editor. However, he's not that nice of a guy, and soon enough is pressuring Kirby to write a second novel. Kirby just doesn't got it in him though, and he's got writer's block. As is often the case, antics ensue. Eventually, King Dedede is convinced to write a book, but it doesn't move any copies at all. Additionally, the hype around Kirby's novel has also subsided, and that's how it ends. Chapter 13. Kirby wakes up on a deserted island. He's been shipwrecked there, but does fortunately have an intact food supply, which should last him a week, but he does, of course, eat it all immediately. He tries many things to get off the island, but nothing seems to be working. Finally, Meta Knight shows up and shows him how to properly make a fire. Isn't that heartwarming? Finally, Meta Knight heads out on a boat, only for Kirby to realize that he has been abandoned. Should have thought of that earlier, I guess. And that's it, man. And we get a nice afterword from the author, in which he goes over how 90% of manga artists draw manga digitally, which I did not know. That's pretty interesting. But he's still doing it. Analog? That's pretty impressive. Respect that. Analog is forever, as he says. And you know what? I gotta agree. In the time of streaming services and subscriptions, having something you can hold in your hand is pretty nice. Now that's a book. All right, I think I've covered this to a satisfactory degree. If you are interested in Kirby Manga Mania, you know, you got a lot of options now. You can't really go wrong with it. It's always a good time, always jovial. For this one, it was kind of nice to have an air ride related chapter since we had the new Air Riders game. We are entering a period of time which we've not really been in before, which is that Kirby games are just taking longer to make, and you know, there's multiple factors for that. They are getting more ambitious with the 3D titles. We're not getting quite as many spin-offs as we used to. We have to account for developing for higher resolutions than even HD, but you know, as I've said before, these are a nice stopgap in game releases, just to give us something to talk about here on the channel. Thank you for viewing. You are a treasured individual in the world. I hope you know that, and have a great day. Goodbye.